Isla is a professional certified coach and parent-teen mentor. With over 20 years of international experience, Isla has worked with thousands of young people from grade school through college and into the workplace. Along the way, she has equipped parents, teachers, and professionals with tools to turn conflict into connection and uncertainty into growth. As a career advisor, she has supported university students at pivotal crossroads, clarifying goals and preparing them for life beyond the classroom. In addition, Isla is also a corporate leadership coach, managing executives at PepsiCo, Ernst & Young, GE, and leaders across technology, finance, and healthcare.
So, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation and the introduction. And I'm super, super happy to be with you here this evening. I'm a boy mom, so I have a very, very special place in my heart for boy moms. I have two, they're now adults, and we still talk. So I promise you, and that's a very big part of my message to you tonight, is you want to be absolutely sure that as you launch them, as they fly away, they know how to come back, they know how to make a phone call, they know how to get you to help them when they're in trouble. So very much part of my conversation this evening. So I want to start by telling you about the time I lost my son in Barcelona. Yes, I lost him in the city of Barcelona. And he was doing a study abroad summer program in Florence, in fact. And the wisdom of a 19-year-old brain had decided that for a study abroad summer program, he would not need his laptop computer. Interesting, right? Well, it took 24 hours for the phone call. It's like, Mom, I need my laptop. Like, okay. So I, as a dutiful mom, I arranged to meet him in Barcelona for the day with his laptop to turn it over and for him to be able to finish his program successfully. So I made a plan. He had a plan. We were going to meet right in the center of Barcelona. There's a huge cathedral there. And so that was our plan. We had figured out the timing, etc. The problem was that my flight was chronically delayed. I couldn't reach him by phone. When I finally sprinted out of the metro, up one of the 4 exits that take you to the cathedral, to the Sagrada Familia, I discovered there were thousands of people there. And that building sits on about 2.5 football fields of land. It has 4 exits from the metro, and it has 3 entrances to the cathedral. So I had set myself up for failure without even knowing it, right? So I'm standing outside one of these exits and trying to keep somewhat calm. The panic is absolutely overwhelming me. I'm going to get my bottle of water because I was about as dry-mouthed then as I am now. Panicked, I was crying. Wouldn't you be crying? For goodness sake. You're in a foreign country, and I don't speak Spanish. I do. There are a couple of languages I do have, but that's not one of them. So eventually, I'm standing there. There are all these people, and I figure I just have to stay here. He will find me. He's a smart boy. He'll find me. And then all of a sudden, these arms just come around me and from behind me, and this voice says, "Hi, Mom." And I just melt into the sidewalk. And I turn around and I hug him so hard, I probably crushed every bone in his body. But like, what an amazing relief, right? However, the learning here is, this is what parenting is all about. I made the assumption, I had a plan. I thought that we knew exactly what we were going in and it was all going to work out fine. But this is it's just like parenting. You think you've got it right, you think you know what's going on, and then suddenly doors are slammed, or you get the eye roll, or you're ignored, or you get yelled at. There's always something. It's unexpected. But is it really unexpected? You have to ask yourself sometimes, am I just going into the world with these assumptions that everything's going to be fine because I say it is? Because there's so much that actually you're not able to control at all, right? So I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I wrote my notes on these little notes just to keep myself on track. So what we're going to talk about today is how to, when any of these things happen that kind of help, you feel like you're moving sideways sometimes with your kids, how are you going to pull them back? How are you going to strengthen the connection to make sure that you're able to hold them, that they can hold you? And it's not about helicoptering or anything like that. It's about changing your parenting style to be able to do it. Oh. Okay, so before we go any further, what I want you to do is I want you to honor the fact that every single one of you is here. You volunteer with your boys. You care deeply about them. You get up at 5 a.m. and you do the school run for swim or polo, me. You sign forms that just magically appear at midnight when you're already asleep and oh God, I have to have this for the morning. You make snacks, you make lunch, it gets thrown away, but you make it again the day after. You do all these things. You don't get thanks for it, and often the way that your teen is reacting makes you feel like you're doing it all wrong. I'm here to tell you, you're not. You're doing it all right. There's no such thing as perfect parenting. Everything is about consistent being there for your kiddo. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to turn to your neighbor, and I'm going to give you a prompt, if my computer does this for me. And I'm going to ask you to say to your neighbor, you are an amazing parent. Okay. So, amazing parent. I want a show of hands. Your child comes to you. They've got a problem. They've screwed up. They've parked the car in the wall of the garage instead of in the space that was assigned for it. They're stressed. They're overwhelmed. Their grades are falling. They're feeling rejected by their friends. Every single one of you is going to volunteer to try and fix it, right? You're all there, you're going to help them, you're going to do whatever you can. But often, there's this aspect of it that is that you really don't know exactly what's going on. So you're left with this sense of, I want to help, I want to do what I can, but I'm not sure what that's going to look like, and you don't get the thanks for it anyway. So you're kind of moving around in the dark. So I want to take a moment and explain to you what's actually going on in your kid's brain. You've all heard it's under development. What does that actually mean? A brain under construction until 25 or 30, what does that look like for you in your home? So indulge me a moment while I show you this. So the tree represents your child at about 10 years old. All of the information that has ever come into their heads and into their bodies is accumulated. But what has to happen for the adult process to begin is there needs to be a pruning, because all of these millions of branches are too much. The brain needs to hone it down to those branches that it's going to use in order to be effective and efficient as an adult. So the pruning process begins around 10 years old. And the way that the pruning works is the brain is starting to, these extra branches are being cut away, those that are not being used, and the brain is connecting from the back to the front. So all of the connections are coming forward. It takes up until 25 to 30 years old for that brain to be fully developed. And what's missing? unfortunately. It's this piece that is planning, organization, decision-making, emotional control, well, you name it. Whatever your problem is, it's missing. Okay? But what is on fire is the emotional brain. So if you look to the picture on the right, you can see that the red, that's friends, that's me. Music, it's everything that is the emotional development of the child coming forward without the analytic and the rational brain kicking in yet. So the emotional brain is years, a decade, basically ahead. It takes all this time for everything to catch up. So what you're dealing with today, whether you're dealing with a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old or a 19-year-old, you're dealing with a brain under construction. And the things that you are expecting to have happen, you really need to step back and ask yourself and say, can this child actually do these things that I'm expecting of them? This is where the assumption piece comes into place as well, because you assume that your kiddo is, you see them physically, especially the boys, right? So suddenly you've got a 6'2" gangly kind of thing that's showing up in the kitchen, and you think, well, they've got to have something going on in their heads. Often the answer is no. It really is, and it's not their fault. They're honestly doing the best they can. They're not trying to persecute you. They really are not. They're doing the best they can. They're trying so hard. They're so confused. But the challenge is the fact that because the emotional brain is so much on fire and so developed at this stage, everything is about me, which is independence and identity. So they are hardwired to push against you if what you're doing is if they feel is trying to control them. Control will never work. We need to come up with a different way of parenting in the teenage years, because what got you to age 10, believe me, is not even going to get you to age 15. So that's a big part of, you're learning as you go. I was learning, I mean, my goodness, I raised 2 boys. The biggest challenge I had was actually that second kiddo. All kids are different, right? Okay, now you have my perspective on the brain and the understanding of why it doesn't always work the way you assume it's going to, even when you plan it well. So what are they dealing with? So the world they're navigating is very loud, very heavy for them. And we, and especially me, I'm way older than you guys, but your lived experience as a teenager is nothing like their experience. They're dealing with things that none of us ever had to deal with. And it's very, very hard. And at the same time, they only know what they know. They don't have the advantage of being able to be in your shoes and look through your eyes and say, oh, this is what's going on. Everything is immediate, and it's what they're trying to handle in the moment. So if we think then about the fact that your assumptions of what's going on for them and their ability to handle that is kind of like things falling apart, like they did for me in Barcelona with my kid. I had made all the plans. I thought it was foolproof. Go figure, right? And there's so much that's outside of your control as well. So you just being aware of where they are, what's going on, is really, really important. The things that they are dealing with is one of the reasons why I'm saying to you, you would put up your hand and you say, they can come to me with anything. But I think I want you to just inside yourself, question for yourself, how do you feel if they come to you with something really serious, a real crisis. And that you know that they will come to you, number one, and that they won't hide it from you. And unfortunately, the statistics say that only 1 in 3 kids will actually go to their parents for help when things get difficult, when things get bad. That means 2 out of 3 kids are trying to figure it out on their own. And often they're trying to figure it out with their friends, whose brain is equally unformed. So again, just having an awareness of what they're trying to navigate, and they're doing the best they can in a world that is very, very difficult and very confusing for them. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the difference between relationship and connection. I coach families, as Julian said. I've worked with a lot of families. Unfortunately, too often, they come to me when things have gotten really seriously bad. But also they say to me, but we were fine 2 months ago. How did we get from everybody being fine and happy and getting along? Not, it wasn't all puppies and rainbows, but how did we get from getting along to being in complete crisis? My child won't talk to me, completely ignores me, or worse, and I have worse. Or I also have kids that are disappearing at midnight out their bedroom window and out in the street for the night. So that didn't just happen. That was tiny sign after tiny sign that was not being picked up on. So let's think about relationship versus connection. A relationship is what we all have with our kids. The relationship is the role. You're his mom. I'm mom to Kyle and Carrie. That's the relationship. That's the role I play. The connection is I am his safe space. I am the person that he comes to, no matter what. And that, today more than ever before, is your goal as a parent, is for you to know in your heart that your kid is going to come to you no matter what. And then what does it take to parent like that so that you can be that safe space for them. So in the relationship, in the connection role, what you're doing is you're helping your kiddo be, you're walking alongside them. You're kind of pivoting your parenting from, they're not adults yet, so you can't treat them as an adult, although they may look like that. But they're not children anymore either. And this biological drive for independence is putting them in a kind of a different space where you have to start to think about kind of who are they, what do they need, how do I walk alongside them. When I'm working with parents, what I'm often using as a term is I want you to be their coach, their guide on the side, their coach. Often you can actually be that prefrontal cortex. You can talk about the things that you're seeing to help them be able to understand better how to manage a situation, right? When we live in the assumption that everything's going to be okay, or that we've laid the groundwork correctly, we risk getting into trouble there. That's the most important piece that I have found. And when you don't have the connection that you want to have, what also happens is you miss those breadcrumbs of problems that show up. You're kind of assuming that what you see is normal, or you're feeling like, oh, well, I shouldn't say anything here, or you're walking on eggshells at home, and therefore you kind of hesitate. So it's not it's not about jumping in and being the Spanish Inquisition. You're not you're not judging, you're not asking tons of questions. What you're doing is you're literally walking alongside, you're observing. And I have some bookmarks that I purchased for a show recently that have in there, if you just look into the QR code there, it'll give you some ideas about how to start conversations if you feel like it's getting a little bit difficult. That kind of a little bit more of the methodology of how you approach a situation where you have to be careful how you frame the question. So before I continue, because I have a gift for you this evening that I want to share, but before I continue, I want to tell you that when Carrick was actually in middle school, he and I joined a volunteer organization, just exactly like yours, in Southern California. We were, in fact, the first class of an organization called Lion's Heart that is in a lot of different states, but not in the state of Texas. And so we joined, and I had 12 kids for 6 years, right? You don't have 12 kids in your groups. You divide them up even better. You're very smart. 12, I mean, I was pulling my hair out. However, we learn, right? What I want to share with you is that experience for me was golden. And the mom who was talking about working with young men, how the gift that you have with working with these young men, you're watching them develop. You're able to kind of mentor them when things are maybe a little bit difficult for them at home or at school. You're a trusted other adult. That's incredibly valuable in the life of a child. Another trusted adult. As we went through the program, I just watched him. He took on different leadership roles, and when he finally graduated, because one of my big things was, keeping this connection alive. When he finally graduated, he actually, because of the leadership and because everything that he had been doing through those years in high school, he got into an Ivy League college on a full ride. And today, he works for one of the largest NGOs in the world. Actually, it's a global organization, and he works in sustainability and food and justice areas, primarily in Africa and in South America. So when I said mum boys or boy mums are a favorite space, I learned so much from those kiddos, so much, that today I bring to everything that I'm doing as well. So what I would like to offer you is I have the work that I do with families is helping them to develop these connections, not because anybody's broken, not because there's anything wrong, because everybody is perfect the way they are. You are an amazing parent, right? You're going to take that home with you. But this need to keep the connection strong is the most important thing that you need to be thinking about and you need to have top of mind. And so what I'm doing is helping moms figure out with what's going on in their own world with their kiddos, what's happening with the kiddos, what the kiddos' experience is. How do we keep that connection strong? What are the tips? What are the strategies? How do we create a blueprint for age 16 and beyond? Because they will leave you and they will go on to college or some other wonderful adventure in their life, and you want to be the one that they call when things get sticky, when things get tough. You want them to come to you. At least I hope you do. I hope it's not, phew, did my job. Because I'll tell you, your job's never done. So I could just, there's a whole series of talks about the jobs never done from my personal experience. But so what I would like to offer you is I have created a program called From Relationship to Connection Accelerator. And this program I normally sell to clients for $497, but this is my gift to you for this evening, for those who would like to take advantage of it. And it's a 45-minute kind of one-on-one, just a brainstorm, a download. What's going on in your world that you're thinking, I could strengthen my relationship? I know that the connection is good, but maybe it could be even better. So that you kind of have an opportunity to look at that and then think about what else could I be doing? Or what are you noticing that now you want to take advantage of? So the way that I work, just so you know, is everything, I work always with what is going on right now in this moment in time in your world. So you can make a change for now. There's no theory, it's always what is happening now. So I want to invite you to that event, that one-on-one conversation, and it's going to be through this code, and this will connect you to my calendar, and you can just book a call. I've got 15 slots available for you guys. So the first 15 who book with me, because there are a lot of you, and there's one of me. We're trying to clone me though, you know, we can do that with AI, which is awesome. But I want you to take advantage of this. If anything that I've said today tugs at all at your heart, and you're thinking, I could strengthen that bond, that could be stronger. If anything there feels like that, I want you to take advantage of this. Because our kids need you to be taking care of them in a way in which they can handle it, right? It's not control, it's not helicoptering, it's parenting differently. And I promise you, for every time you get pushed away, you have to stay firm. You cannot ever walk away either. They need you way more than they're ever going to tell you. Although I will say, my 36-year-old, when his babies were born, did say, how the hell did you do it, Mum? Karma. So thank you. So appreciate your time.